Hello, my name is Arielle Reid in Budapest, Hungary, and I'm going to discuss today the UN recognition of Israel. Now, the UN recognition of Israel was part of a longer, more drawn-out process, and discussion of the details of the process are still very much contentious. So what I've done here is outline generally some of the highlights that you should look for in your research or in your readings that might help clarify the situation a little bit. So after the end of World War I and the defeat of the Ottoman Empire, the League of Nations gave the British a mandate for Palestine in 1922 and told them essentially to take care of the territory. Now, under the British mandate, Arab communities and Jewish communities had their own freedom, had their own customs, were allowed to administer their own affairs, but there was still a lot of violence due to diverging nationalist tendencies. And we can see this violence in 1920, 1929, 1937 to 1939. So things were not all well under the British mandate. Now, the Peel Commission in 1937 that was designed to look at why the violence was continuing and there was so much tension within Palestine, basically came up with a solution to divide Palestine into two states, a Jewish state and an Arab state, and the details of which displeased both sides, and the Peel Commission was generally tabled. After the Peel Commission came what is known as the Anglo-American Commission of Inquiry. Now, that had the same idea as the Peel Commission, which was essentially the partitioning of the states. The details were a little bit different, but the results of the Peel Commission are reflected in the UN resolution of the General Assembly 181 that happened in 1947. And it was adopted with a majority, and parties in Palestine were more or less pleased with the resolution. In 1947, as the British mandate for Palestine ended, Israeli Prime Minister Ben-Gurion declared independence, which was then acknowledged de facto by the US government and then by the USSR. That sparked the First Arab-Israeli War. We won't get into that now, but it's important to note that in 1949, almost a year exactly to the day, Israel was accepted into the United Nations as a member.